Okay, my friends. Yes, she's just been drilling me in her name here because it's a little tricky. Judith Kahealani Lynne is here with us, and she's a friend of mine and Dorit's, my dear friend in Portland. Dorit introduced the two of us, and we've had some nice connections. And she's a very gifted sound healer and medicine woman in her own right, and she has a deep connection with Hawaii. So it seemed like divine timing to get Sister Judith on the line here and share her wisdom with our lovely group. So Judith, welcome. Great to have you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for inviting me, Lou.
It's my pleasure. So,
Yeah.
my friend, tell us what's on your mind today, who you are, and how you got into this spiritual work that you're doing.
Boy, that's
How's that?
a word answer.
Yeah, take your time. Take your time.
I'm thinking what I'd like to do actually is
Yeah.
to do a tone at the beginning of
Sure,
whenever
yes.
I speak, I do a tone,
Yeah,
a brief toning to sort of focus
great.
to align all the energy. So
Yeah,
if you go aside and let me and go let the sound take you to where it wants to take you, to help with intention is bringing us together so that we meet in this moment now. And I'm putting a universality to that, knowing that we might be meeting. There's a universal clock we're tapping into in this.
beautiful.
So
Thank you.
we're setting this for that connection.
Very good.
Okay. Yo. By the breath of life, we are in this moment and we are one. And so it is.
So it is. Aloha. Mahalo. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. Yeah.
Oh, so.
Yes. Yes. I guess you seized the moment that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I my journey started. I was born into a musical family in Iowa, in the middle of the continent of the North America, and about, as my Kahuna friend Holly Makua said, I lived about as far away from the ocean as you could get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my life journey took me from Iowa to California to England. I lived in Yorkshire for a year and in London for a year. And then came back and lived in Minneapolis back, and then went to California and eventually up to Oregon and then to Hawaii. So it's been a migratory path I've followed. And once I got the sound work, I was trained to be an opera singer.
Oh.
All my training when I grew up had to do with being an opera singer.
Wow.
And so I performed and did a lot of with my dad was a jazz musician. I played with him on the weekends. I'd sing jazz, basic stuff in
Sure.
the local Starlight Lounge kind of place,
Right. Right.
Eventually I went off. I studied North Indian classical music with Ali Akbar Khan.
Wow.
I was a chant leader for a group called Ananda Marga back in the 70s. We'd do 24-hour kirtans.
Wow.
So
Yeah. Deep studies.
Long story short, I ended up being guided to work with the whales because
Really?
the whale and that was based on a series of regressions that I did with a woman named Julia Ingram, who's an author who's written about the times of Yeshua. And
Okay.
so we went into my life of when Yeshua was walking the earth. And
Okay.
I saw the way the earth manifests and the sacred geometry we manifest around and how sound plays a part in that. And that the whales were the frequency keepers of the earth under the water, and we were the frequency keepers of the earth on the planet, on the earth part of the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
That we were basically blowing it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So there was a call for me to go work with the whales to create activate a communication avenue with them, and to work with helping through this big frequency shift that's happening.
Yeah.
And in that, I met Holly Makua, who is a highly respected Hawaiian chief and a global elder,
Okay.
who's with the UN Global Network. And so a lot of we had a sacred place we would go to do work, and which included my sound work up at Kilauea Crater. And Kilauea Crater is the one that's erupting right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big time it's erupting.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So the earth is she's opening up in the deepest sense, and the stuff I just listened to a report from Hawaii where they said that the volcanologists that are at work at the park in Volcanoes National Park have looked at the temperature of the lava that's coming forth, and it is the hottest lava they have ever recorded.
Wow.
So that means it's coming from
Deep.
Yeah, way deep within it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a pretty interesting piece of information.
Sure. So you've spent a lot of time right there at Kilauea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Practically from where they've got the webcam into the Halemaumau crater.
Wow.
That's almost where we would stand and do our work.
Right.
So it's pretty amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Sorry.
What I was going to say is a metaphor for, I think that that's the physical manifestation about what's going on for all of us.
Sure.
This profound release happening from the depths of our being.
Right.
So all the old stories that we have about who we think we are and what we think we need to be and how we think we need to do it, all of that is just being blitzed out. Yeah.
Right.
And no more time for long-term therapy. It's like, wake up.
Right. And can I just say, Judith, that I've been to Hawaii once, and it was absolutely magical. I was on Oahu and Maui, and of course Maui is such a special place, and I have dear friends on Kauai as well. But we consider Hawaii the heart chakra of the planet, quite. So does that seem pretty true? That's how people think of it?
I've heard that, and I have to say that from my experience, the way I was working with it, I started to understand it a little differently.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I found was that that may be true in a let's see. Well, okay, so let me tell you. So as I was working there, I'd have groups of people that come over and work with me, and we would do this we'd do this intensive that had to do with using our voices to open and release and the open conduits for this energy that's coming in. And I found that the Big Island was associated with the root chakra. Okay. And people would come there and they would be immediately dumped into their survival issues.
Right.
And it was like that, There's one woman that came to a meditation. She was boasting about how she had dealt with all her survival issues before she came to the island. So she just knew she was just going to go bing, 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 bang, and she'd be a big success. And we were just, stifling the chuckles and laughs because we thought, oh man, talk about a temptation to Pele, it's
Yes, yes.
Be careful what you say here, because
Sure.
that's the other piece. If there's power in the word,
Sure.
with the word we have the power to create, and we have the power to destroy.
Sure.
And so use your words very consciously.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
well, all right. And so that's very good. So that's a brilliant start. And so, no, it is truly. So you as a musician and as someone who's been deeply trained and entrenched in music your whole life, wonderful. I mean, so you've known this is your path your whole life. Music has simply been it.
Well, I knew that music was my path my whole life. I got into Eastern spirituality. I was initiated into a meditation group at the University of Northern Iowa.
Yes.
In 1970. It was 1970.
Right. So Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
No, it wasn't.
No?
It was yeah, it was Ananda Marga. It was
okay.
A Dada. It was a monk from Ananda Marga. So it wasn't.
Okay.
Actually, the Maharishi's group came to Iowa later after that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, this is so to me, my spirit that was mind blowing in its own. The fact I'm going to a little school in Iowa and this yogi comes through.
Yes.
Meditation. So of course I'm going to check it out.
Sure. It was the 60s. It was the 60s, right?
That's a duh. So, and I get initiated, and it just got surges of bliss going through my body. It was just
wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so it always felt like my spirituality was over on one side and my music was over on the other side.
I see.
And I didn't have the sense of them coming together. So I started to work with really the work with. It was happening in the mid '90s. I went to a workshop. Well, I had this sense of using tone, pure tone for meditation, and working the chakras with that.
Yeah.
And started to sing into the body after being introduced to some ideas through Jonathan Goldman's early workshops.
Right. Okay.
So that sort of pointed me to a path. And then I did these regressions with Julia, and a whole lot opened up. And so there was, in the mid-90s, a lot of just things lined up to just direct the word.
Right.
Like my guides were knocking at the door and coming to get me.
Sure, good. Well, I'm delighted they did. Yes, wonderful. Yes. So can you tell us a little bit about your connection with the whales? Because I'd love to hear more about that.
Oh, my first awareness of them really came from when I was a kid. My dad went off to some sort of music teachers conference and came back with presents for all of us. And the present he gave us was a record called Bozo Under the Sea. Wow. And Bozo comes into all these contacts with all these creatures, and one of them is the whale.
Okay.
And they talked about the whale and its sounds.
Right.
And that, I think that was the hook for me.
I love it.
Isn't that what, I mean, life, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you're quite right. Yes.
That was my first contact. And then later, so I've been fascinated by whale song since I've been aware of it. And then when I did this work with Julia Ingram, I was regressing into this life of when Yeshua was on the planet. And she's written several books about it. One's called The Lost Sisterhood. And in this regression, we were flying over the pyramids.
Wow.
And to get a charge from the way the grid was set up to be flying over, and our energy fields were getting a charge.
Wow.
Nice. Through the regression, I was carried out into subtler and subtler realms, and I was shown how we manifest and how the physical world manifests. And I was given a message at one point. This basically said that the whales were the frequency keepers of the earth under the water, and they managed those frequencies by the whale song. And so and they said that the humans were the frequency keepers on the Earth part.
Yes, on the
And
land.
we were basically blowing it. So
Messing up, yes.
the assignment was to go to Hawaii and work with the whales. And in that communication, what I heard was that Hawaii was the perineum of the planet.
All right, root chakra.
And that I saw the way the energy manifests into the area where the pyramids are, which is the Middle East. And it's like the power cylinder on the Death Star in Star Wars.
Okay.
It's just this, so it's coming in. And so for the force that's coming in there, it has to have something on the opposite side to hold the integrity together.
Sure, to balance.
The polarity thing,
yeah.
Masculine, feminine.
Yeah.
And so I was there, and
you have a very musical phone.
And sorry?
You have a very musical phone.
I do.
Very jolly.
I apologize.
No, you're all right.
So we've got this polarity going on, and so let's see. So I'm just going to say this about it. To me, it's interesting that the eruption's happening. The Earth, the volcano's giving birth to Earth there, actually.
Yeah.
And the Middle East is blowing up.
Right.
So
right.
It's so anyway. So I went to Hawaii and I started to work with the whales.
Yes.
And I ended up doing a caller response sort of.
Really?
Yeah. I go out on the boat, and we would go. I made friends with a captain that would take me out after hours and take people out for dolphin swims in the morning. And so afternoon, he was done. So we'd go out after hours in the afternoon, and where the whales were, and I made up an instrument and sang through this instrument.
Right.
I would sing, and we would copy each other.
Really?
It was very cool.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah.
What kind of whales would be there?
Well, it was mostly humpbacks. That I was
Yeah.
I had a couple of pretty interesting interactions with the pilot whales.
Okay.
They're sort of a different group.
Sure.
And in doing this, I ended up having a profound experience with the wolves.
Okay.
I went into the Lamar Valley in Yellowstone, and I sounded with the wolves.
Okay.
On the full moon.
Right.
And there was a connection between the two.
Right.
We're going off into esoteria here.
No, sweetheart. This is the good stuff. This is what people love to hear. Yeah. Well, so, I mean, to heal our connection with nature, you're able to help us to learn to do that. You see. Yeah. You're.
What happened when I was before I moved to Hawaii, and I was going to go work with the whales. I had done some over in the winter. I'd go over, and then come back. I was in Portland during this summer and fall. Mm-hmm. In the winter, I'd go over and work in Hawaii with the whales. And at one point, I got the message to move, but first, I needed to go to Wyoming.
Okay.
And sing with the wolves.
Great.
So we keep thinking our path is linear, and it is not.
No, not so much.
We're going in this direction, but we might need to take a step back here.
Sure.
To take us forward. So I went to and sang with the wolves, and learned about communication, animal communication, basically from doing this thing with the wolves. And came back to then I went to Hawaii and applied what I got from the wolves and moved it into what was happening with the whales. And
great.
It was it was pretty interesting stuff.
Sure. Well, so do you? I don't know, honestly. Do you have CDs that you sell?
I have recordings, but I haven't put them. I don't have anything in saleable form.
Okay. All right. We're in the same boat, pretty much. Yeah. I have a few little things. Yeah.
So I've been thinking a lot about this. Working with Hale Makua, he was talked a lot about the colonized mind and the indigenous mind.
Sure.
And the colonized mind is the way most of us, probably that are gathering here, have been raised and
Sure.
grown up in. And we grew up in a society where we think we have to have product in order to, be successful. And there's this whole sort of world. I could talk for a long time about this, and I don't want to right now. But basically, he also urged me to find out about my ancestry.
Yeah.
And that was part of the important thing was to reconnect with my ancestors to discover who I really truly am.
Yeah.
One of my lineages is I'm a Drollinger, and the Drollingers are descended from the Tyrolean Alps. They lived in the Tyrol.
Okay.
And those people are called the Trollingers.
Okay.
The villagers from the Tyrol.
Okay.
They settled in Bavaria.
All right.
When they came from the Tyrolean Alps, they settled in Bavaria, and there's a wine grown in Bavaria that's called it's the Drollinger wine.
Yeah.
And it's to be consumed on the spot. It doesn't age. You consume it on the spot.
All right.
Its potency, its deliciousness,
right.
All perfection is on the spot.
Okay.
That's why I put that initial program into the sounding.
Okay.
Because the sounding usually is best utilized on the spot.
Sure.
So it record from because it's interactive with all the frequencies that are available right now.
Sure.
10 minutes from now, it's going to be completely different.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just, you have such wisdom, my friend, and yeah, truly, no, it's wonderful. It's a joy. Really, it's an honor. And this is like you said, the indigenous mind versus the colonial mind or the colonized mind. So people are hungry and thirsty after wisdom and knowledge, and want to find ways that they can learn from you and your share in what you have to offer. How do you like to share your work with people or interact with people?
I really love doing sessions with people, either on the telephone or on Skype or Zoom,
right?
And that, or in person if they happen to live in Portland, Oregon.
Sure. Yeah.
So I do sessions where I'll sound into them like we did in this initial beginning of this gathering.
Yeah.
So the frequencies will be very relevant to what's happening for them, attunement for them.
Yes.
And in that there will be things are revealed in that, and there's stories that they're working with, the issues that are up for them to shift.
Right.
And so we can peel through the layers of stuff that's ready to be released, and then the sounding releases it and recalibrates.
Very good.
Reharmonizes one with the idea that what we're doing is peeling these layers so we get to the pure divine light that's within.
Yes.
And we're speaking clearly from that place.
Yes.
Rather than from any place on the layer that is a part of the story.
Sure. I hear you. It's beautiful. Well, Judith, where would you want people to go online to find you?
Go to www.am-a-song.com.
Brilliant.
asong.com with hyphens in between.
You certainly are, my friend. You are a song. Yes, that's well named. Well, is there anything else you want to share with us before we finish up here for today?
I think the one essential piece to be in, the knowing, is that we are being called to live from the heart now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not 3 weeks from now. I mean, but now, and to create everything from this place that is in this now.
Yes.
So it's, in every choice, in every moment, there's a choice. Am I living in fear, or am I living in love?
Right.
Every moment we have that choice.
Right.
And we can direct everything in our lives by asking that question.
Brilliant.
And so as we're confronted with the news, family events, bigger global events, all of that, live from love. Live from love. That's the essential piece of absolute
truth.
perfection of
Yes. Yes. You've done it.
touch.
You've absolutely done it. Brilliant. Well, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, no, it's a joy to connect with you again, and we'll do it again real soon, and we'll do some work together as well. I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you for letting me introduce you to the people that follow what I do. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you, and love to you all. Thank you so much for this time and this blessing of being together. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith.
Aloha.
Aloha.